story was submitted to me by a follower who would like to remain anonymous. When I was 14, I had a best friend named Lucy, and we had one of those friendships where we were really close really quickly, which I now know is a red flag and usually a sign of a toxic friendship. But I was too young to know this then. Our favorite thing to do together was hang out at the mall. Our parents would let us go alone as long as we abided to one rule. We had to stay together at all times, and we were always pretty good about that. One night we were having a sleepover at Lucy's house and her Uncle Mike came over for dinner. Uncle Mike was pretty loud and goofy. He showed us like 8 magic tricks that night. I liked him. He was fun. But as I was helping clear dishes after dinner, I overheard Mike and Lucy's mom having a hushed conversation in the kitchen. She was like, "You've had too much to drink. Why don't you just spend the night?" So Mike ended up sleeping over that night too. Right before going to sleep, Lucy's mom came into the bedroom and she told us to remember to shut the bedroom door before falling asleep. When I asked Lucy why she said that, Lucy just shrugged and said, "I don't know." But we made sure the bedroom door was shut just like she asked. In the middle of the night, I woke up to the feeling of someone tickling my feet. So I was having a sleepover at Lucy's house and I woke up in the middle of the night to someone or something tickling my feet. I scream and then I hear shuffling. Lucy wakes up and she's like, "What's wrong?" And I tell her that something was tickling my feet, but she doesn't believe me. I'm like, "Well, why is the door open? We shut it before we went to sleep." And she goes, "Relax. Sometimes it happens because there's a draft in the house." And I tell her that I think it was her uncle who was tickling my feet and she goes, "Oh, come on, you're hallucinating." And honestly, at the time I had a bad feeling about Lucy's reaction. It felt like she was gaslighting me and I had no idea why. A few weekends later, Lucy and I are chilling at the mall on a Saturday afternoon. My parents let us go to the mall together alone, but their one rule is that we have to stay together the whole time. They call it the buddy system. So that day, Lucy's acting weird. She keeps looking around nervously and checking her phone. She says she has to go to the bathroom, and I'm like, "Okay, I'll go with you." Because we always go together, even if the other person didn't have to pee. And Lucy's like, "No, I'll go alone. I'll be quick." And I'm like, "No, I'll just go with you." And she snaps really aggressively, and she's like, "Just stay here." And then she spins around and sprints away from me. So Lucy's running away from me in the mall. I sprint after her. She's super fast. She rounds a corner and then I can't find her after that. I start crying. I have no idea why my best friend ran away from me. So I sit down on a bench in the mall. I'm still crying, really overwhelmed. Then I hear someone say my name. So I look up and it's Lucy's uncle, Uncle Mike. He asks what's wrong and I tell him. He's being super nice and comforting. And then he starts rubbing my back, which made me uncomfortable, but I don't say anything. Then he offers to give me a ride home. And I say, "No, I can just call my parents." And he goes, "Just let me give you a ride. Come on." But the way he said it the second time gave me goosebumps. It was aggressive. Like he wasn't asking me, he was telling me. So I stand up and step away from him and say, "You're making me uncomfortable, I'm calling my parents." Mike glares at me and then he says, "No one likes a tease." And he walks away. I told my parents what happened and they immediately called Lucy's parents. Apparently, Uncle Mike had taken a liking to me. And he found out that I was going to be at the mall that day with Lucy. And Mike paid her $100 to run away and leave me alone with him. He told Lucy that I liked him too and that she was being a good friend by giving us alone time. I never spoke to Lucy again after that.
This girl slept with her snake every single night, but one day when it loses weight, she makes a shocking discovery. Camilla and her parents owned an exotic pet store back in 2010 and were the happiest family. They specialized in exotic snakes and they would have over 100 snakes in the house at one time. But when Camilla was only 17, her parents unexpectedly passed away in a car accident. At the time, they were transporting a crate of snakes and only one baby anaconda named Piper survived. And although Camilla was sad, the two instantly became best friends. Camilla would cuddle up and sleep with Piper at night for years until eventually it was full-sized. The two were great together until one day Piper stopped eating. No matter what Camilla offered, he refused to eat and eventually lost a dangerous amount of weight. So one day she decided to take him to the vet. But you won't believe what they found out. Before I tell you, I found an app where you can erase anything from photos, and I mean literally anything. Links in my bio, but don't use it for bad. They found the snake had been doing this so it could eat Camilla.
If you're ever walking and hear a sound behind you, look up, for it might be the Gashadokuru. The Gashadokuru are skeleton giants who walk around in the middle of the night. If they see a human, they will quietly walk up behind them, bite off their head, and drink their spraying blood. Soldiers that die on the field and people that die of starvation usually do not have their final rites read. In Japanese culture, that means that their soul cannot pass on and they're reborn as a hungry ghost. When the bones of hundreds of those souls gather together, they become the skeleton monster known as Gashadokuru. If you're a fan of monsters, scary stories, and lore, please support this channel. Thank you guys.
This is why you always say yes to tandoori chicken. In 2012, a high school tutor and her student stayed up so late one night studying that by the time they were done, the buses had stopped running. Without another way home, the student asked if he could stay the night at her place. Reluctantly, she agreed. When they got back to the apartment, she fell asleep on her bed and he fell asleep on a blanket next to her bed on the ground. A few hours later, she wakes up to the boy standing awkwardly in the middle of the room with a very strange look on his face. She asks him, what's wrong? He looks at her and says, I'm really hungry. Let's go get some tandoori chicken. Confused, she says, it's 2 a.m. Just get a snack in the cupboard. And he grabs her by the arm and he says, no, we are getting tandoori chicken right now. And he yanks her from the bed. Feeling totally caught off guard by this whole situation, she goes into the hall with the boy, and as soon as the door shuts behind them, she can tell that he is terrified. He looks at her and just says, I'm not actually hungry. When I woke up, there was someone under your bed.
Reacting to the scariest TikTok accounts, part 1. Today we're going to be talking about an account known as Sitting and Smiling. The username is literally exactly what it sounds like. This girl does nothing other than sit and smile. But it's about to get really creepy, so let's go ahead and take a look at it. The crazy thing is her videos have an abnormal amount of views. I mean, look how many, 8 million, 8 million, 4 million, I mean, a ton. But her latest video was posted on 4/18/2020. Why would somebody quit when they have that amount of views? The weird thing is her bio used to say, I'm not kidnapped. And her bio changed. And I found her Instagram account and it gets even weirder. She hasn't posted in over 40 weeks and she posted this video of a butterfly. And I guess a bunch of her fans are saying MK Ultra. And do you know what MK Ultra is? MK Ultra was a top secret CIA project that gathered information with psychological torture. Also, click the link in my bio to watch my latest YouTube video.
These real-life glitches caught on camera prove the Matrix is actually real. Watch as this guy travels back in time to warn himself from being hit with a huge metal fence. Now I want you to watch this lady very closely. Did you see that? She disappears into thin air. And this guy lost his baseball helmet, but if you watch closely, the helmet lands perfectly back on his head. And this interviewer clearly had a glitch, but I guess this is just an update?
That's a body, bro. What does it feel like? That's a body, bro.
Reacting to the scariest TikTok accounts, part 2. This account is unique because a lot of you messaged me on Instagram and you wanted me personally to react to it. My Instagram is Austin Vro if you guys ever want to send me another account. The account we're going to be looking at today is called user 01726472771. It seems this account has racked over 200,000 followers with only 5 videos posted. And the views are just unheard of for a brand new account. This account isn't just a normal TikTok account. This entire account is supposed to represent an ARG. An ARG is an alternate reality game. I'll show you what I mean. Let's check out one of the videos.
Went to the hospital at 12:01, and they told me to stay in the car and realized that it's been 3 hours and there's nobody around me. I also checked in the hospital and saw no one.
This person is saying that in this alternate reality, there is nobody there and he's able to make these videos and upload them for us. But look at this. We can see there's a bunch of numbers and letters, which is a message. This is what it translated to. Like and follow for more videos.
You should never use wallpaper, and this is why. 15-year-old Nicole had just moved into a brand new house. She was shocked to find her room completely covered in moldy wallpaper and was forced to remove it. But as she tore off the wallpaper, she made a shocking discovery. Every corner of the wall had a written name and date underneath it. That night, curiosity got the best of her and she decided to search up the names of the people on the wall. Every name and date lined up with real missing people, and she called 911 immediately. The cops immediately rushed over and an investigation began. They discovered what was on her wall was not wallpaper. It was actually human skin.
One time I had to babysit one of my neighbor's kids overnight. We're gonna call the kid Benny. The parents didn't really tell me anything when they left me alone with Benny, but they left me a note and they were like, you can only open it in emergencies. So at this point, I'm alone with Benny. It's like 11 p.m. and I told Benny, I was like, dude, you should like get to bed. It's late. Then Benny starts getting really red and he's like, no, we don't want to sleep alone. Sleep with us, please. I didn't know why Benny said us, but I was like, whatever, okay, like, yeah, I'll sleep in your room, like, it's fine. So fast forward a couple hours, it's like 3 in the morning at this point. This is the best part. Benny starts talking in his sleep and he's like, take her instead. You're not my friend anymore. I am not yours. And I try waking him up and I look at him and his eyes are wide open as he says this stuff. I was freaking out, so I went to go open the note that his parents said was only for emergencies. It just gets better. The note said, we're sorry for not telling you. Run him a cold bath. Call 911 in case anything happens. What the
This is why you should be careful of some photographers. Zoe Fit, a model on Instagram, was doing a photo shoot with a photographer she thought she trusted. The photographer's name was William Francis. But when Zoe went to go change her clothes in the bathroom, she noticed a little light on the charger brick. This one. She even found a chip inside. When she plugged the chip in her camera, this is what she found, him plugging it up. Before I continue, I've been using this crazy fitness app. It even gives you the exact program to get the body you want. Link in my bio if you want to get in shape too. Zoe became devastated and even weirded out of the whole situation. And the scary part is you can get these cameras at places like Walmart and Amazon.
If you ever find yourself in this situation, don't do what she did. In 2006, a group of cave divers decided they wanted to film a documentary in one of the most dangerous caves in the world. But only a few hours into their descent, and a freak storm erupts on land, collapsing the entrance to the cave. In order to avoid the huge falling rocks that were coming off the ceiling, they were forced to swim through one of the uncharted sections of the cave. After they've been diving for over an hour, they luckily come across this island in the middle of a tunnel, where they set up camp and wait to be rescued. After 48 hours and no sign of a rescue, the cameraman actually starts filming in case they don't make it out of there. At the same time, one of their crew members does something very stupid.